Welcome back everyone. I hope you're doing great today, because what you're about to watch and hear is one of the most unexpected, heartwarming, and laugh-out-loud moments ever seen on America's Got Talent. Tonight's story is not about flashy lights, crazy stunts, or over-the-top special effects. It's about timing, honesty, and a microphone in the hands of someone who has lived long enough to turn life itself into comedy. This is the story of an 83-year-old stand-up comedian who walked onto the AGT stage in 2025 and delivered what many are calling the funniest audition of the season. The theater lights dim, the audience settles, and the familiar AGT music fades into silence. 4 judges sit at their desk, smiling politely, not quite sure what to expect. Then, slowly, an elderly man walks onto the stage. He doesn't rush. He doesn't try to look cool. He walks the way someone walks when they've learned that there's no reason to hurry anymore. He's dressed simply. Nothing flashy. Just clean, neat, and comfortable. He waves to the crowd with a calm confidence that only comes from decades of living. The audience applauds, but it's a curious applause. People are smiling, whispering to each other, wondering what this man could possibly be about to do. Stand-up comedy is already hard. Stand-up comedy on the biggest talent show in the world is even harder. And stand-up comedy at 83 years old? That feels almost impossible. He reaches the microphone, adjusts it slightly, looks out at the crowd, and waits. He lets the silence breathe. That alone is impressive. Many young comedians rush, afraid of quiet. He is not afraid at all. He smiles and says, "Hello everyone. I'm 83 years old." Which means 2 things. First, I've been alive longer than most of your phones. And second, if this doesn't go well, please clap anyway. I don't have many auditions left. The room explodes with laughter. Right away, something changes. The judges lean forward. The audience relaxes. That first laugh breaks the tension and opens the door. He hasn't even told a real joke yet, but he's already won them over with honesty and perfect timing. He continues, "People keep asking me why I decided to do stand-up comedy at my age. The truth is, I didn't decide. I just ran out of time to care what anyone thinks." More laughter. Bigger this time. He explains that when you're young, you worry about embarrassing yourself. When you're middle-aged, you worry about paying bills. And when you're 83, you worry about whether the chair you're sitting on is going to make noise when you stand up. The audience is now fully with him, laughing not just because it's funny, but because it's real. He talks about growing up in a world without the internet. He says, "When I was young, if someone insulted you, they had to do it to your face. And honestly, I miss that. At least you could see it coming. Now someone can destroy your self-esteem while wearing pajamas and eating cereal." The judges are laughing openly now. One of them wipes tears from their eyes. He pauses, looks around, and says, "I recently learned what going viral means. At my age, if something goes viral, that's not fame. That's a medical emergency." The crowd erupts. What makes his performance special isn't just the jokes. It's the rhythm. He knows exactly when to pause, when to breathe, when to look up, and when to let the audience finish laughing before continuing. This is not luck. This is experience. He talks about marriage, saying he's been married for over 50 years. "People ask me the secret to a long marriage. It's simple. You learn to apologize even when you're right. Especially when you're right." Laughter turns into applause. He says his wife encouraged him to come on AGT. She said, "Go on stage, make people laugh, and if it doesn't work out, don't worry. I've been laughing at you for decades." Even the toughest judge is now smiling wide. Then he shifts slightly. His voice softens, but the humor stays. He talks about aging. About waking up tired even after sleeping. About making sounds when sitting down that he doesn't remember agreeing to make. About walking into a room and forgetting why he's there, then deciding it probably wasn't important anyway. Every joke hits because it's not cruel, it's not mean, and it's not trying too hard. It's simply life, told from the perspective of someone who has lived enough of it to see the humor in everything. He looks at the judges and says, "You know, people think getting old is sad. But I'll tell you what's sad. Being young and thinking you know everything. That's terrifying." Huge laughter. Standing ovation from part of the crowd already. He tells a joke about technology, saying he recently got a smartwatch. "It tracks my steps, my heart rate, and my sleep. Basically, it watches me all day and still can't figure out why I'm tired." The audience is now laughing so hard that some people are bending forward in their seats. He ends by saying, "If there's one thing I've learned in 83 years, it's this. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. If you want to do something, do it now. Because one day, standing up will require a plan." The laughter turns into thunderous applause. He thanks the audience politely, gives a small bow, and steps back from the microphone. The judges stand up. All of them. The entire theater rises to its feet. This isn't just applause for comedy. It's applause for courage, timing, and the reminder that talent doesn't have an expiration date. One judge tells him that this is the kind of performance people remember for years. Another says that comedy like this can't be taught, only lived. A third judge says that he made them laugh harder than anyone else that night. And then comes the vote. Yes after yes after yes after yes. 4 yeses. Total agreement. The old comedian smiles, nods, and says, "Well, that went better than my last doctor's appointment." The crowd laughs one more time as he slowly walks off stage, waving. And just like that, he doesn't just leave the stage. He leaves behind a moment that reminds everyone watching that it's never too late to try, never too late to laugh, and never too late to surprise the world. If this audition taught us anything, it's that humor doesn't come from youth. It comes from truth. And sometimes, the funniest voice in the room belongs to the person who has seen it all and decided to laugh anyway. As the applause slowly fades and the stage lights dim behind him, the story doesn't end there. In fact, for many people watching at home and inside that theater, it feels like something has just begun. Backstage, producers and crew members are smiling, shaking their heads in disbelief. They've seen thousands of auditions over the years, but this one feels different. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It didn't rely on shock. It relied on truth, timing, and a lifetime of observation. The 83-year-old comedian walks carefully into the backstage area, still holding the microphone for a moment longer than necessary, as if he's making sure the moment is real. Someone congratulates him, another offers water, and a producer tells him that social media is already reacting. He chuckles and says, "I don't know what that means, but I hope it's polite." Out in the audience, people are still talking about the jokes. Strangers are laughing together, repeating lines to each other, especially the ones that hit close to home. Younger audience members are surprised by how much they related. Older audience members feel seen, not mocked, not pitied, but celebrated. That's the magic of what just happened. Back at the judge's desk, one of them leans into the microphone and admits that they didn't know what to expect when he walked out. Another judge says that comedy like that is rare because it doesn't try to impress, it simply connects. They talk about how difficult stand-up comedy already is, and how much harder it must be to walk onto a stage like that at 83 years old, knowing that millions are watching and judging every word. Clips of the audition begin spreading almost immediately. Short videos appear online with captions like, "Proof it's never too late," and Funniest AGT audition of the year. People share it with their parents, grandparents, and friends. Comments pour in from around the world. Some say the comedian reminds them of their grandfather. Others say they laughed and cried at the same time. Many say they needed that reminder to stop waiting and start living. In interviews after the show, the comedian explains that he never planned on fame. He says he's been telling jokes his whole life, mostly at family gatherings, weddings, and dinners where no one could escape. Someone once told him he should try a stage, and he kept saying maybe tomorrow. Then tomorrow turned into decades. Finally, he decided that if he didn't do it now, he never would. He talks about fear, not as something that disappears with age, but something that changes shape. When you're young, you're afraid of failing. When you're older, you're afraid of regret. And for him, the fear of never trying became bigger than the fear of standing on that stage. As the competition continues, people eagerly wait to see him again. They wonder if lightning can strike twice. They wonder if the next performance will be just as funny, just as honest. But even if it never happens again, that first audition has already secured its place in AGT history. When he returns for the next round, the applause starts before he even speaks. He smiles, waits patiently, and lets it settle. He opens with, "Thank you. This is the first time in my life people clapped before I said anything. Usually, they wait until I leave the room." The laughter returns instantly. But this time, there's something deeper in the room. There's respect. There's affection. The audience isn't just watching a contestant anymore. They're watching someone they feel connected to. He continues doing what he does best, finding humor in aging, in relationships, in the strange beauty of everyday life. He jokes about memory, about how he writes things down now and still forgets where he put the paper. He jokes about exercise, saying that his idea of cardio is looking for his glasses when they're already on his head. Again, the timing is perfect. Again, the room is his. By the time he finishes, the judges are laughing just as hard as before, maybe harder. One judge tells him that he's not just funny, he's important. Another says that people like him remind the world that life doesn't end at a certain age, it just changes pace. Win or lose, advance or not, something has already been won. Millions of people have seen an 83-year-old man stand confidently under bright lights and say, without apology, "I'm here, and I have something to say." That alone is powerful. In the days that follow, messages continue to pour in. People say they signed up for a class they'd been avoiding. Others say they called an old friend. Some say they showed the video to their parents and grandparents and watched them smile in a way they hadn't seen in years. And that's the real legacy of this moment. Not just the laughs, not just the votes, but the reminder that dreams don't have deadlines. That creativity doesn't expire. That courage can show up at any age. So whether he goes all the way or takes his final bow tomorrow, his impact is already undeniable. He walked onto a stage, told the truth with humor, and reminded the world that sometimes, the funniest voice in the room belongs to the one who waited a lifetime to speak. And that's something worth applauding. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you stay tuned for more unforgettable moments like this. Because talent has no age limit, and inspiration can walk on stage at any time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.